Hi folks, and welcome to another 5-Minute Friday here on Meaningful Money. Great to have you with me. Okay, thank you to Dean for this question. Thank you, Dean. Thank you for sending the email. Sorry it took me a couple of weeks to respond. Dean tells me that he's listened to every single episode of the podcast from day one, which I think is about 260 episodes, which is both deeply humbling and a little bit concerning, Dean. But thank you for your attention all the same. Now, Dean asks about what he calls the best time to do a couple of things. Firstly, to decide whether to offset his mortgage anymore or to start investing some of that money, or maybe pay off the mortgage, maybe to start saving into an ISA. What is the best time to do stuff? Well, that's the question I'm going to try and answer today. So let's put 5 minutes on the clock down here somewhere in the bottom right hand corner, and let's go. So if we're talking about paying off debt versus investing for the future, I've answered this a couple of times on the podcast, I think, but I say I've answered it. I haven't really, because there isn't a correct answer. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you. No, there isn't a right answer because everybody's different, okay? And there's various factors involved, which means that there is no one size fits all. And I suppose, strictly to answer Dean's question, there is no best time. There's probably 150,000 perfectly good times to decide whether to stop offsetting a mortgage, start to pay it down, or invest for the future. There is no best time, just a load of really good times. So whatever version of this question we're trying to answer, pay down your mortgage versus invest for the future, leave the money in the bank offsetting the mortgage versus growing for the future, whatever kind of version of this question we're answering, essentially it comes down to two things: maths and emotion. And with all things personal finance, very often those two things find themselves in a certain amount of conflict. The mathematical sort of numbers can't lie element and the touchy-feely human element of our personal finances. Very often it's hard to marry those things together. So let's think about this offsetting thing. Offsetting briefly means you have enough money in the bank to match the outstanding balance on your mortgage, and some banks allow you to offset the two against each other, meaning you don't pay any interest on your mortgage because you have enough money in the bank. Then the question needs to be, well, could you put that money to better use? Well, if you think about what's happening, if you have that money in the bank, let's say you have enough money to completely offset your mortgage, what you're doing is you are saving that amount of interest each month or each year. Now, if conversely you were to take that money and invest it, then you could arguably make more money by doing so. Of course, anything you make on there would have to be sort of reduced by the interest you are now paying because you're no longer offsetting. So the money would have to work harder over here, not only to beat inflation, but also to beat the interest you're paying on your mortgage. So yes, you potentially could make more money. Depends on your time scale, depends what you're invested in, depends on your risk profile. But here in the offset arrangement, the returns are guaranteed. You know what they are going to be because you are saving a set amount of mortgage each year. When the money's invested, you have no idea because markets don't tell you how they're going to perform, they just do their thing. So one way is guaranteed, the other way is potentially high return, but not guaranteed. You pays your money, you takes your choice. So maths is a factor, but it really isn't the be-all and end-all, because the second and arguably the biggest factor for me is the emotional impact of paying down debt. There really is power and a emotional benefit in getting rid of your mortgage or your other debt, which to my mind at least far outweighs the potential benefits you might get from investing that money instead. As long as you owe people money, it's always kind of there nagging in the back of your mind. It's like the little devil sat on your shoulder. Well, you owe this person money over here. Wouldn't it be great not to do that? And of course it would. So there is real emotional benefit in paying down debt. You see your balance reduce month on month or year on year, and eventually, of course, you get to pop a cork because you are debt-free. What a fantastic place to be. For most of us, though, that's going to take a very long time if you're paying down a mortgage over 25 or 30 years. And of course, if you do that and you leave your money offsetting, or you're just trying to overpay your mortgage, that money then isn't compounding up for the future. Quick reminder of good debt versus bad debt. Good debt is usually low interest rate and used to buy stuff which goes up in value, like houses. Bad debt is usually high interest rates and is used to buy very short-term stuff that goes down in value, like computers and clothes and stuff like that. You want to pay down the bad debt as quickly as possible. Good debt, though, can be hung on to because it's serving a purpose. So again, there is no best time to make a decision about stopping offsetting or stopping paying down a mortgage and investing for the future. There's just a load of potentially good times. Basically, we all have finite resources every month to deal with. And what you're going to need to do is to decide, right, if I've got, I don't know, £500 per month extra, that's on top of my bog standard mortgage payment and stuff like that. If I've got 500 quid a month I can do something with, how should I partition that money up to try and build for the future? But the point is, it doesn't have to be black and white. It doesn't have to be one or the other. It doesn't have to all be used to overpay your mortgage or all be used to invest for the future. Why not do both? Why not overpay your mortgage by a couple hundred quid a month and invest 300 quid a month, something like that, and just see how it goes and maybe tweak the balance between the two approaches. In short, Dean, don't get hung up on what the best thing to do might be. There are a million options. Just pick one. Live with it, continue to keep it under review and see how you get on. Whatever you decide to do though, do it 100% and don't overthink it. Dive in, really try and make it work. Thank you for listening to another 5-minute woolly answer. Hope you enjoyed it. Dean, thank you so much for your question, mate. I really appreciate you listening to every single episode of the podcast. A little bit scary, but I'm really, really grateful. Thank you for your question. If you've got a question you want me to answer here on 5 Minute Friday, you know what to do. Get in touch via the website. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next week.